Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to Institute of Global Professional Free International Webinar Platform. Thank you all for joining and stay with us till the end. I am your host for the evening. I am Kamrul from Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be an associate with IGP as a global member. I feel honored and privileged to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professional Free webinar. Thank you all for joining us today in this marvelous evening, and it's my humble request and pleasure to all of you stay with us till the end. For I am sure you all will have many takeaways and pay off from this webinar. This time you can like and comment in our webinar. Don't forget to tag and share and mention your friend in the comment box. So let's work together and learn together. We believe that power is gained by sharing knowledge, not hoarding it. Thank you all. Today we are presenting webinar number 364 and the topic is the impact of social entrepreneurship in the community. Today we have two Today we have two speakers, one from United States and another from United Kingdom. Let's welcome our first speaker from United States. Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, hello, good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here today. My name is Ambassador Dr. Seema Karatnaya. I am the global public health expert for the World Health Organization. I am also a global peace and public health ambassador representing the United States globally around the world. I am a recent Harvard Medical School graduate in biomedical research data management, and I am a panelist of national and international societies, committees, associations, and organizations in regards to public health and global peace initiatives.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, you can start your presentation now. Thank you, ma'am. You can start your presentation now, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Uh, So today, our main topic is the impact of social entrepreneurship on the community. And I am very proud to say that you have reached the right person to speak about any different aspects of concepts on the community. Because here in Brooklyn, New York City, where I am based, there are many different communities that I work with in terms of collaboratory, educational, social, public health, and other initiatives and projects. I must say that usually we share PowerPoint slides, during our presentations because we understand that the PowerPoint slides have the material that someone can read and visualize, and study the material. However, my approach over the years has been to limit PowerPoint slide presentation because I think that when I speak to the audience without having to read off of a paper or a slide, but just speaking, having a conversation with the audience will be able to identify and connect to me much better. And this is why today I am going to have a conversation intellectual, social, whatever it may be, with the audience. So the audience connects with me on a personality level and becomes therefore more interested in the topic. So the two different aspects of social entrepreneurship that I would like to bring up today are education. And so one of them is education. I will not, mention two of them at the same time. I will go one step at a time. So education is actually a part of social entrepreneurship. And the reason I'm saying this is because let's break the two words apart and see what they mean individually and then in relationship to each other. Social meaning, with the people, around the people, collaboration, communication, so on and so forth. Uh, Entrepreneurship means getting a hold of establishing your own idea, business, platform. When we combine these two terms together, it basically means leads to the concept of education, because education is wisdom, and it is only through the wisdom of learning something that we can become entrepreneurs of our lives and make it social, as they say. So, education has been a form of enlightenment throughout many centuries for the different generations of all of us. So, as we know, in many countries, especially the United States, the educational process starts at a very young age, around 5 or 6 years old, because there is pre-K, then there is kindergarten, and then we go from first to 12th grade. And then after that, we go through college and then either university or a regular or just a community college. And then after that to a professional school, and then after that to residential or internship. And technically speaking, we spend uh, about 15 years, in the educational process. Now, what is the benefit of the educational process? Many people are going to ask. And many people are going to say that more than half of the material we learned in the educational process, we're not going to even use in the everyday life. We will not even apply it professionally because we're going to be working our own methods out in the career setting that we may end up being in. I must say that the educational process involves many different aspects, which then lead to sole entrepreneurship and the ability of the person to become socially capable, to obtain the highest social capacity possible. The reason being, as a panelist of the International Society of Health Education that I am, I would like to say that education teaches us patience, coordination, time management, wisdom, practical and theoretical tactics. Practical and theoretical tactics meaning to put concepts into phrases and then carry them into action. And as a result of that, we might not use the actual material that we have learned in a school or college or university setting. However, we will use those concepts to work our own ways, our own models of establishing the professional environment around ourselves and others that we need for optimal growth and development professionally. And therefore, we can then find ourselves becoming the entrepreneurs the controllers of our, not just our professional setting, but our life. And therefore, we become stronger and more powerful, but not powerful for the purpose of harming, not powerful for the purpose of destruction, but powerful for the purpose of establishing, building, and structuring the environment around ourselves and others. Another very interesting type of social entrepreneurship that I would like to discuss today is blogging. Now, it's a very interesting concept because blogging has become so popular nowadays that many of us think it takes away our time from the much needed processes, activities of daily living, work, relationships with the family, because blogging only involves a digital platform, such as uh, a phone, any type of electronic device, phone, computer, iPad, so on and so forth. However, blogging has become a very interesting career solution for those that might not have graduated from a university or a college and might not have gone through an efficient educational process that I just discussed before going into blogging. Because it happens in some areas of the world. Uh, Children either do not have access to a school because their families, their parents cannot afford it. Sometimes the distance plays a pivotal role in the altering of an educational process movement through the years. Sometimes it's the non desire. Sometimes families think that the child is better off being homeschooled, which is a totally different type of process than, let's say, when you're actually sitting either in an interactive environment on a virtual learning platform or inside an educational institution. Uh, and this is where blogging is basically the solution to the problem in terms of entrepreneurship and in terms of the individual mental health status, believe it or not. And I will go into that in detail. So when you segue into becoming a blogger, you use your phone or your iPad or any type of digital device or gadget. You use different social media platforms for that. You do not notice how you start building your own community, your own audience, which basically means you start gaining likes and comments, and you can use any topic of your choice. You can talk about food, you can talk about clothing, you can talk about cosmetics, you can talk about different weather types, around the world. You can talk about how your day was. You can even have a blog about your family life for those that are not afraid, not shy to mention their personal aspects. You can choose a topic and you're totally unlimited in speaking about different concepts that are of your interest. So once you start gaining the recognition, once you start gaining the audience, 10 people and then 100 people and then 1,000, then a million, 10,000, 100,000, million. Uh, and once you gain your audience, you become popular on the social media platforms, which then make you basically become your own entrepreneur, your own self-employer. And not only are you able to time flexibly, topic flexibly, mood flexibly, share your ideas and whatever you're trying to convey using a blog, which is simply a video that you're recording and then sharing it on the internet. You're also and you're able to actually earn uh any amount of money there possibly is, with no set salary limits, expectations, requirements, and so on and so forth. You start noticing how you are also becoming socially strong. You're also becoming socially competent, and you start gaining connections and knowledge about other cultures, other ethnicities, religions, customs, traditions of others, because others are then getting connected to you. They want to find out more about what you're talking about. They want to share something in common with you. They want to object to you. They want to agree with you. They want to do many different things in a joint interactive manner. And hence, you have become the social entrepreneur, an unlimited social entrepreneur who does not have any obstacles going forth in front of them when they're moving forward. So once you opened up one type of blog, a series of videos, which is essentially a reality TV show, a series of reality TV shows that you're establishing, but it's just that it's not on a television screen, but on a digital platform. uh you became that dream businessman or woman that you wanted to become. And guess what? This and the educational process, that was the first type of social entrepreneurship that I discussed, lead you to become empowered, self-empowered, and then able to empower others. And this leads me to talk about how these two things, education and blogging, impact the community. So they directly impact the community because the community, different communities, then come to you. You attract that energy of the communities that now want to associate with you. You're not only financially strong and vital, but to yourself and to your family, your immediate circle, but you're also vital to the society, because the term community is very specific. You talk about the Pakistani community, you talk about the Italian community, you talk about the Jewish community, the Spanish, the African American, the Russian speaking, the Ukrainian community. All these different types are communities. But all these different communities make up the society, and the society makes up the globe. Therefore, I would like to say that the educational process and blogging, for those that are for some reason unable to fulfill or complete the educational process in its entirety, then lead to social entrepreneurship, which is one of the main key points to self and public social empowerment. And it is absolutely non-distinguished between genders, races, ethnicities, cultures, and different walks of life. We all know that with the pandemic, we have not just faced a public health crisis, which I am an expert in trying to curb, but we have faced an incredibly serious and major multicultural crisis. Now, of course, there is a financial crisis that we faced. There's a mental health crisis that we faced. in addition to the overall public health crisis in terms of public health management or mismanagement around the globe. But we have also witnessed we are facing a multicultural crisis. And what got blended into the multicultural crisis is that we all became virtual. Many different events and meetings and conferences have been held non in person via a virtual platform. And this is where blogging, of course, became more popular than an actual educational process being carried on in person in a school setting, since many school processes have been carried out virtually as well. Very unfortunately so, because it is very important to balance both digital and in person learning, and combine them and have them collaborate with each other rather than dominate one over another. Therefore, I would like to say that social entrepreneurship tactics, be it education, blogging, or other that I have not mentioned, but that are present in this world, social entrepreneurship can only be successful and be effective and be efficient when we all become culturally aware, when we all start embracing our own culture that we live in and the culture of others that live around us, when we all start uh, walking down the street and saying to the first person we meet, I love you. I love your culture. I like the way you look. I want to embrace you. I want to find out more about you if I do not know about you or your culture already. But of course, it again starts with education inside your family, inside your circle, about your own culture. So once you start embracing and saying, I love myself and I love my culture and I love my customs and traditions, that's when you are able to then get out and explore the world. Now, the exploration of the world needs to be reasonable and safe. Of course, you will not start, you know, physically exerting yourself upon the first person you meet on the street. However, once you start uh, becoming interested and gaining the desire to find out about the different cultures globally, you will then establish within yourself a safe tactic in terms of exploring more and more about the world. And that is how you become beyond of what is a social entrepreneur. You become a social empowerer. And this is how you succeed in life. I would like to thank everyone for having me. And I would like to wish everyone the best of health, first of all, love, peace, success. Enjoy yourselves, explore yourselves. Do not limit yourselves in anything. Believe in yourselves, empower yourselves, because this way you will be able to believe in others and empower others and influence others in an endless array of ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your outstanding presentation today. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, we'll come back together in our question and answer session.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dear participants, let's welcome our another speaker from United Kingdom. Let's welcome our ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever everybody is today. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, give a short description about yourself, then you can start your presentation and screen your share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, so I am based in the United Kingdom in a beautiful place called North Wales, which is part of the United Kingdom. I am a mother of three, and I am known for two main titles in my business profile, which go by Ghazala being the number one marketing machine and Ghazala being the Bollywood queen. And there's a reason for that because both of these businesses have had a great impact in the social entrepreneurship. And I will explain as we go through how that has been. I'm also a number one best-selling author of my book called Loved, Lived, Lost, which was a tragic story in my life, but I wanted to create a positive impact from that tragedy in society and how that would actually impact others in an insightful but also uplifting, positive way to move forward from grief. I'm also the creator of the Million Dollar Professionals Global. And the reason for that is I wanted to share the entrepreneurship's journey from my own story, from suppression to expression, and how do we create an impression to impact the world globally. I'm also the co founder of our Next Generation Research Center. This looks at four interdisciplinary areas around the world where we do combine everything from life science, education, environment, and energy that is all around us from people to places. As an ambassador for World Transformation Organization, I'm also very involved in community projects and where there are needs and wants out there in society for us to literally reach out, observe, and make the necessary actions to make the change. One of the most important things about some of the works that I've done, which I will share for others to hopefully be inspired by, is literally the when you are doing something for the love of the community and the change from your heart. And the heart is what I always say is that more and more people need to be able to feel the love to what they're doing, to how they're sharing, and where they are making an impact. Well, for me, as I was just doing my thing, what I love, which was part of my Bollywood program, I realized that people noticed the impact in my community from working with juniors in school through the Bollywood training, through cultural part of my society, my upbringing, but it was also very well embraced in my British schools. The part of that led to looking at churches, elderly, WI, community projects, where there was a great need to make an impact as well, bringing the world of India and Bollywood to the scene. Although I was doing everything from the point of literally caring from my point of my culture, what I didn't realize the impact it was making on a global scale. I was recognized as an award winning business. And when the TV documentary was being filmed, they reached out to say, we love the entrepreneurship and what impact you've made through health, through wellness, through education, through culture, through society. And we would like to be featuring you on our BBC One TV program as the documentary of the Asian Welsh making good. So I'm very, very proud about what I've done there. And, as Dr. Seema said before about the education, my story has been very much from the point of fighting for education, a voice that wanted to speak, but now in a privileged position through my own efforts and the surrounding support of my mentors and teachers, I'm now delivering education, and that's the impact that I'm delighted to make an impression out in the world to support. So I want to share with you, hopefully my PowerPoint presentation will allow me to share this. So give me a second. And if the PowerPoint will let me do this, I will make sure that we can actually do this. Okay. Okay, hopefully you are able to see this. If I could have somebody let me know that that is all working good.
Yes, ma'am, it's okay. You
It's good.
can
Okay,
run it
brilliant.
through.
Okay, good. Okay, so what I really want to share is a journey through as an entrepreneur that fought for entrepreneurship, but also the impact that we are making from the social entrepreneurship in our community as well. So, what does social entrepreneurship actually mean? Well, social entrepreneurs are interested in starting a business for the greater social good and not just the pursuit of making profits. It's also very, very important the way that we look at how we support our community. When we talk about our community, it means a lot to people in so many different ways. And the two areas that I take great pride and privilege to support is what are the needs for our community and what does our community want? There's always a want, there's always a need, and sometimes both. So we have a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of individuals that actually want to be involved because contribution to society and community is huge, especially with the social impact that we have and the resources that we have available. Also, it's important is that when we look at creating a great idea to take to the marketplace and getting people involved, is how do we get started on new projects? And this is another part of what is the idea? Who are we sharing it with? Who is going to support us? How is it going to make an impact? And the kind of questions that is going to be looked on with good statistic, facts, figures that actually support and the evidence to actually create the change that can then be duplicatable. I would like to look at this part here because this is a very interesting part for me is being a co-founder of the Next Generation Research Center. The next generation of our communities, our future is the younger people of today that will make the difference tomorrow. So in today's society, we also need to look at what kind of messages are we looking in sharing on our social media. That's a great impact when we look at the billion-trillion-dollar industry of social media and what is being shared in the resources, support, education, information out there through these channels. The younger generation also are bringing up some great ideas with the current changes. So we need to make sure that our different forums, again, delighted that this forum today that I'm proud to be sharing is allowing us to listen to their voices. They have ideas, they just need guidance. And today we should hopefully inspire many of our next generation youth to be able to take the lead and create a better tomorrow for all. Let's look at the different types of social entrepreneurships here. There are the non-profit organizations, there's the cooperative societies, there's the social enterprises, there are the community projects, and there is the special purpose business. When we look at these different organizations and projects and businesses, we need to look at the approach of ours in how we can help develop funds, implement solutions to social, culture, and environmental issues in today's world. We need to learn from the past. We learn today's changes and the research that is going on, and also the facts and figures in where we sit. And those coupled together will allow us to create the necessary changes with the right people that have a desire to make that change. And more importantly, even when we look at non-profit organizations, the important thing is we still need to create funds to make that all-time important change in our societies as well. What is a social entrepreneur's role, you may ask? You may like what you've heard. You may like a lot of things that resonate with you. Your heart is probably speaking about a lot of things to you to say, I'd like to make a change. And a lot of the good people of the world do want to make a change, either because their life has been affected in some adverse way that they've made a change and they want to make a change for others, or it might be that they sit and take note of what's happening around the society, around the world, and look at how they can contribute to making that important change. There is a lot of education, there is a lot of facts, there's a lot of figures and myths and things that are not also true. So it's being smart to understand what is actually the reality of what is going on. So some examples here. Some are willing to take risks and every effort to create the positive change in their society through their initiatives. I'm going to share with you a risk that I took. It was actually a life and death risk. I wanted to fight for education. I wanted to grow to the next level of my education. I came from a society of limitations, cultural limitations. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to study in university. But my society said, girls don't do that. You will get married off to somebody and they will provide for you. My question was, why cannot provide for myself and provide for others as a woman? So coming from that point of view, I had a bit of argument, if you like, or debate, which led to a fight because my brother felt that I had too much to say and I needed to be suppressed from that. I physically took a hit in my face. All I wanted to do was to study further. And that story of my fight for education was very, very strong, that there was an inner voice that wanted to learn, grow, and make a change to help others, even if it meant physically being hit. But that did not stop my voice, which was a voice of great strength, courage, and power, because the desire to make the change was far greater than any hit in the face. And that was the risk that I took. Not everybody needs to take a physical attack in making a change, but there are changes that when they mean enough to you, you will make that change. And also, as Dr. Simmer said before, the education part. There are so many platforms and forums that people are being educated as we are here today. And this is part of the necessary change, because through that education, you see, I always say knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is powerful. If knowledge is power, it could be like an encyclopedia sitting on the shelf with a lot of information, but nothing else other than collect dust. But when we learn what we need to learn and we roll the sleeves up and we go to work with the necessary tools and education and resource, then we are equipped to be powerful and to be able to make a choice and a change. So again, entrepreneurs' roles that they find facts and statistics to actually validate their point to make that all important change. And that is important because people will listen to you. One, when you have credibility through statistics, facts, figures, information that you can validate of why the change is necessary and where the figures come from. So as I go through the rest of this PowerPoint presentation, I would like you all that are listening into this to ask yourselves or write down, what are the 3 top things that you feel so strong that you want to see a change happening? Write them down and ask yourself, if I were to take a role of a social entrepreneur, what risks am I going to take? What education am I going to need? Who am I going to sit with? How am I going to find the facts and figures in order to make that almighty change? And again, education programs should be fun, because sometimes we get so serious about it and we forget to enjoy the learning journey. And you know what? The community want to be heard. I think for us folks, we need to look at as leaders and entrepreneurs is somebody somewhere has a story. That story needs to be shared. Somebody somewhere has a voice. They need to be heard. Somebody somewhere has an idea and the idea needs to be heard. Somebody somewhere puts all those together and that needs to be implemented. And these are the sort of community voices globally. We're coming together by there's a saying that let's go around the world in 80 days, and my saying is let's go around the world in 80 clicks, because at the click of a button on our computer or our phone we have access to the global world and the education that has never been seen before, and there is so much that we can learn from it. Again, creating incentives to improve our community is also about listening to all that want to be heard. I always say, work with the ones that want it, need it, and are willing to take the action. But if it's falling on deaf ears, you got to really move on and say next, because we only want to be running with the runners and doing with the doers. And we do not want to be sleeping with the sleepers, because that will never make any change. And that is not what social entrepreneurship is about. This clip here I want to share with you is a little clip about my contribution to society as an entrepreneur and the role that I have played. The role in the top part, as you can see, a dance group, that is one of my earlier days leading the Bollywood Burnout, which is my business that I took for burnout because we wanted to burn calories, and that was part of our fitness regime. The community you can see are seniors, juniors, and in-betweeners. Some of the people were fit, athletic people. Some have never danced in their life. But I created a community bringing the world together in my own area of my doorstep, of my community. And I brought my culture of the global culture, my heritage, in a scene that everything and everywhere was embraced with the greatest love of our community. And that which was meant very much of a community sport, that whole thing went global. And that's how I got my title, Ghazala Jabin, the Bollywood Queen. Not because I was the greatest dancer, not because I was the greatest entrepreneur, not because I was the greatest girl around. It's because my heart led the movement, because I cared for my community and I shared my world into their world, and we became together. And that program had raised over £180,000, where I didn't take a single penny professionally for my fees. And I made sure that money that was invested and put into society to raise funds to make a change created that change. And that's where I was recognized as an award winner for it. The next picture that you see is me as part of a women's football team. And underneath also is the mixed team. And that was, again, that was part of the North Wales Dragons team. And they were all about community football. What that was all about was bringing everybody from all walks of life to a football pitch, an open space where everybody can do the fitness, they can do the sport, raising funds, raising awareness, and they're an award-winning, now creating an alliance globally to create the impact through football, through health, mental health awareness, and also an impact and physical well-being, and taking a lead as well. The photograph underneath there with me holding onto the phone, I created a lunch and learn club. It's called the $1 Million Professionals Lunch and Learn Club. As a true professional, and delighted to be one of the professionals here today to sharing this, is that I realized that so many people still want to learn, but so many people don't have the money to put into some of the educational programs, but they still want some nuggets of education that can give them the little mini steps of success till they get the bigger steps, and obviously they can pay it forward. And I created this $1 Million Professionals Club, and the term $1 million was not because of the currency, it was the prosperity mindset of growth, being a professional, learning, sharing, doing business, and impacting lives through the community projects in the social entrepreneurship as well. So this was part of my presentation that I wanted to share with you, that allows you to see what it is that I have created, where it is that I wanted to bring to you the impact of, as an entrepreneur, my role, and also the role of the people working with me. One of my biggest community support programs was, I mentioned about taking a risk. After losing the dear love of my life, my husband of 25 years, his last dying wish was to raise awareness for pancreatic cancer. And I wanted to do something in a tribute to him, but an impact on others. And I took over 50 odd people on a campaign to the highest mountain of England and Wales for Pancreatic Cancer UK. That was, again, getting the message about one of the deadliest cancers in the world, but it was also to raise the funds to create research, to make a change to those that are living. And if they were affected, how can we make a change? I went to the top of the mountain. I was in tears, because the closest I could get to the love of mine that I lost was to do a high five and say, Martin, your dying wish is now fulfilled. There are many people as high as wide as we can take this message to create an impact on there, because he always believed that as a true professional and the entrepreneurial spirit of mine, I was the person that could make that message happen. Now I create a lot of program with a lot of women around the world, a lot of youngsters, the juniors, the next generation on, to help them to create that important change. And entrepreneurship in a social way, through social media, through social connection, couldn't have been more easier. All we need to do is have the desire, the want, and the need to make a change, because they always say, and it's an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And today the students are ready. And as teachers or people have gone through the minefield of our life and our learning, we are making that difference. I want to thank the opportunity to be here with all of you professionals through this Institute of Global Professionals. And just really, I want you to reach out to me, connect with me, let me have some ideas, and definitely help you as well. Appreciate you listening to me. And this is Ghazala Jabin, over and out for now. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. It's amazing. We are blessed to you for your marvelous presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we are come back to our question and answer session.
Okay.
Dear participants, after a short video clips, we move to our quiz competition. Dear participants, we start our quiz competition in a short time. The quiz code is IGP quiz and the link in our comment box. We will pick your name from our quiz, so join with your full name, which will directly print on our certificate. Now we have 27 participants already joined with us. Top 10 will be awarded with the quiz competition certificate. After quiz competition, we move to our question and answer session with our speaker. Quiz link already given in our comment box, and the code is IGP quiz. Now already 33 participants join with us. One of our speaker mentioned his name is 289891. Please correct your name and give your full name. Let's restart our quick competition now. Our first question is a hybrid model of social entrepreneurship offers both product and service, equally emphasizes both economics and social goals. 22% of our participants give the first answer and 78% of our participants give the second answer. 78% of our participants give the right answer and the answer is equally emphasizes both economic and social goals. On the leaderboard, Laisel is now leading the first position, Elias Austria leading the second position, and Ana Maria Joy Mercado leading the third position. Now let's move to our next question. Our second question is cheating the system in entrepreneurship often leads to tremendous profit or legal trouble. 79% of our participants give the right answer, and the correct answer is legal trouble. On the leaderboard, Atlantina Shihu leading the first position, and Ana Maria Jaya Mercado leading the second position, Mark Busa leading the third position. Our next question is this describe a for-profit business that has a social primary market impact, individual level entrepreneurship, or social consequence entrepreneurship. 82% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is social consequence entrepreneurship. Atlantina Shehu also leading the first position, Mark Busa leading the second position, and Ana Maria Joy Mercado leading the third position. Our next question is type of social entrepreneurship with a social venture mission and an economic primary market impact, traditional or social purpose. 85% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is social purpose. Atlantici also leading the first position, Ana Majoy Mercado leading the second position, Gina Lynn leading the third position. Our next question is, what is a corporate social responsibility consideration in the output stage? Sustainable procurement practice or a peer refund policy? Only 40% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is a fair refund policy. On the leaderboard, Jeffrey L. Sayers leading the first position. He gave 5 of 5 questions correctly. Our next question is community contribution, environmental protection, and cooperation in the universal ethical standards, citizenship or respect. 47% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is citizenship. Christina now leading the first position. Our next question is, what social responsibility spectrum is a company in when they do individually or case by case, responsive or reactive? 83% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is responsive. On the leaderboard, Christina now leading the first position. Our next question is, the correct order of social responsibility dimension is economic, legal, ethical, and philanthropic, or legal, economic, ethical, and philanthropic. 57% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is economic, legal, ethical, and philanthropy. Ana Maria Mercado now leading the first position. Our second last question is, social marketing is ultimately directed towards generating awareness only, actual change in stockholder behavior. 72% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is actual change in stockholder behavior. Our last and final question is, an increase in the economy is called an expansion. Is it true or false? 94% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is true. Congratulations of our top 10 participants. Ana Maria Mercado today leading the first position. Congratulations. Dear participants, after a short video clips, we come back to our question and answer session with our lovely speaker. Welcome back, ma'am. Ma'am, you are ready to answer the question, right?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, it's question and answer session time. You can send your question in our comment box and make sure to put it one by one so that the speaker would be understand it well. And don't forget to mention the name of the speaker. Our speaker also to answer the question. So participants are requested to ask their question in the comment box. We are still waiting for our question, ma'am. Dear participants are requested to ask their question in comment box. Don't shy to ask the question. Ma'am, our first question is What is the proper way to integrate entrepreneurship in our class? Primary gadget, especially, and things. Ma'am Gazala, you can speak the first.
Okay, that's fine. I wasn't sure which one of us were going to answer that one, but yes, no problem. I'm happy to share that. The important thing about the proper way to integrate the entrepreneurship in a class is importance of finding out what the whole objective is. Everybody needs to know the objective of what we're working with so that everybody's on the same page. There needs to be clear definition in a structure. Well, I'm a very structured person when it comes to rolling out any program, integrating any project or anything. And when we're talking in a class, the involvement of everybody is so important. And I think that we should always input what are the pros and the cons, what the project is all about, what do the different people feel, because one person may just be thinking on one area. And remember, we need to incorporate people with a left brain, the analytical side, the thinking, planning, sorting, understanding the things. The right brain person is just wants to do it. So important to integrate that in a class, which is involvement, clear structure, clear objective, and the message that everybody's on the same page. And then you've got a good head start to creating that entrepreneurship and the project rolling out. I hope that answers that.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am Shima.
Yes, I think that the main pain point in creating an entrepreneurship is establishing a platform. I have participated in political campaigns as well as other different things. And I have to tell you this, that political campaigns gave me a lot of experience on, establishing a particular either business or an entrepreneurship as well. A campaign, a committee, and the key point in that was establishing a platform, and a platform consists of basically a proposal, a title, a concise, organized, proposal title, and then the key topics, and then the brackets and sub brackets under the topics. So I think organizational skills, and going from what Dr. Ghazala just said, the left hemisphere of the brain working towards the more definite solutions in establishing an entrepreneurship. I would combine that with the creativity, with the creative aspect of the human mind, and see how this platform, how the proposal that I just mentioned would then bring creativity between the lines of the proposal. So once again, a very organized, concise, and precise proposal containing the title, topics, brackets, and sub brackets, as well as creativity being kicked in between the lines, I think would merge in together to create a successful entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is to both speakers. How do you empower others to succeed?
It's a good one. I'll start with that one as we give you a breather there, Dr. Simmer. Yes, the important thing about how to empower others to succeed is first of all identifying what's their most passionate part of their delivery to the scene. Because if somebody is hungry for it, their desire is strong about it, they obviously have the urge to want to succeed. And of course, the important thing is for outsiders is to listen to that somebody, identify that, we often say that somebody's doing a lot of talking, but somebody's not doing the listening. And somebody may be more quiet, but have got the answers or some great genius ideas that want to be heard. So we really need to be listening into the people to empower them, because I think one of the most important things in this is that people want to be seen, want to be heard, and want to contribute. And we need to be, especially leaders and people in entrepreneurship, really need to help others to succeed by listening and supporting their ideas, and making sure that they're acknowledged, recognize that that's a marvelous idea, because somebody, it may be the smallest, but for them it may be the biggest, and we need to really elevate their recognition so that it actually fuels more ideas and it helps them to grow as well, and that will be very empowering. That's my take on it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gazala. The idea of positive reinforcement has always been the classical, amazing concept. I would like to say that inclusivity is an incredibly important aspect of empowerment. As I was talking about multicultural discrepancies, in relationship to multicultural collaborative activities during my initial presentation today, I mentioned that we have been facing multicultural crisis. So, you know, what can be opposite and can basically solve the multicultural crisis is multicultural awareness is very basic to say, but multicultural inclusivity is extremely important. Once you start sharing your ideas, it's not only about culture, it's about everything. Once you start sharing your own ideas and concepts, but then at the same time being very inclusive and accepting of others, this is an important key to empowerment. Also, when you put yourself on the same level of the partner in crime, as they say, someone you discuss something with, someone you have a conversation with, someone you're about to start doing business with, when you're having the same conversation on the same level of even language, that's another important key. The reason I'm saying this is because I would like to bring up an example of a conversation between a doctor and a patient. Oftentimes, doctors speak to their patients in medical terms, and the patients that, let's say, are not medically proficient in terms of vocabulary might not understand what they're saying, and some doctors might be condescending or arrogant or ignorant enough not to even clarify, not to even explain to the patients what is it they're talking about. So this means doctors are not putting themselves on the same level with the patient's thinking, because everyone has different levels of education, different intellectual levels, different mentality, and we all need to once again be inclusive of that. So this is extremely important as well, when you put the person you're talking to or dealing with on the same level with you, so that both of you are walking together to the path of empowerment. And thirdly, not to run away from your problems. I usually like to tell people, do not run away from your problems. Put your problems before you on the table as you put food. Because when you put food on the table, you dissect it and you eat it, and your organism now feels good. You have fulfilled the need for food, the hunger that you had inside yourself, which could have led to all the different possible complications with your health. The same thing with your problems. If you put your problems before yourself on the table that you're sitting at, you now have control over your problems somewhat. Not all the way, but somewhat, a great deal. And now you're able to dissect the problems into the different brackets and sub brackets, as I was saying before, and you're able to see that the problems are actually very solvable once you dissect them, and once again, once they're right in front of you and you can see for yourself what's going on. And guess what? Congratulations, you're empowered. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is, how social entrepreneurship is improving the social well-being of the country.
Okay, I will start with that one. Yeah, this is a very good one. That social well-being and country, I suppose every country has its own challenges where it comes to food in some areas, and there are other people that are wasting food that could be saving. So there is that part of improving the social well-being. But as Dr. Sim said before, our health and well-being is important in how we maintain our good position of well-being so that we can actually educate people the benefits of why our well-being is from our eating, from our communication, our being social, being interactive in the country, community. And also that part of it is how we're going to look to make the next level of improvement from where we're at. Education is a key thing because people don't know what to eat, why to eat, how to eat. And if I bring my little bit of marketing hat on for a second, when people just go on about a product, that's okay. They maybe want to sell it. But if somebody says what the ingredients are, what the benefits of that ingredient is, and how much to take it with that knowledge, information, and the impact it has, that gives people the reason then to say, oh, right, I see. That's what I needed to do. That makes sense. And now I'm going to buy it because they understand what the benefit is for them. So, once again, that well-being of the country is the education where the crisis might be, where food can be shared, spread out, but also the importance of individually what people can do and how they can take care of mental well-being, physical well-being, interaction, education, and that will actually help a great deal improving all those areas with any country that we're talking about. But for sure, just identifying cultures, that's a big thing. The crisis financially is another big thing, but also let's kind of share alike in areas that we can contribute. So that's my take on it.
Uh, I would actually go insofar as to say that we need to assess how digital the country, how digitally proficient or how digitally advanced a country is. Not advanced. How much does each country embrace the technicality of things? The usefulness towards electronic devices. Because as once again, as I was mentioning before, the world has become more and more digital, and many things that are going on, many processes that are carried out virtually. So I think that with the essence of understanding of how much a particular country is proficient in carrying out technical functions, right, and digital functions, right, we can then see how social entrepreneurship can impact the life of a particular country. With regards to what Dr. Gonzalez said, we need to understand and teach the world that just because COVID-19 has brought us into this virtual prism, and we are somewhat forced to look at this world through the virtual magnifying glass, as we say, it is extremely important for us to then be able to separate from that virtual digital prism and get out into the real world. And that's how I think we can not only bring social entrepreneurship live into the world, but be able to balance technicality and reality. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question for both speakers: what are the things that keep potential social entrepreneurs from succeeding to fulfilling the potential?
That's a very good question indeed, Marivan. And sometimes the problems lie within. and they talk about self-limitation. And sometimes people want to, but they feel they don't have the necessary skills, education, knowledge, or the go-to place. And that will limit people from being, successful and fulfilling their potential. So what I would say to anybody is that if you have thought about the area to being a social entrepreneur, to doing something successfully, then make sure that you reach out to those people and say, I like the idea of doing this. The skill sets that I have are these. I need to learn about this. Where can I go to? Because the other thing is, we know that the resources, there are so many free resources on the click of a button, and you have so much information to educate you, from how to work with this, how to create the forms, how to create a business plan, how to create the details of a structure of a project, what kind of people need to be in, what skills are needed, what are the missing components required for a project to be successful. And that will give you the extra strength and courage to go forward and have the confidence. And confidence will come from knowledge. And knowledge is, we talked about the education, which is why we're here, is to really, and also be courageous enough to put your hand up and say, hey, I've got an idea. I'm not sure how to go with it. Where do I go? So even if you are feeling not so skilled, or in some cases a little bit inadequate in certain areas, it's always important to be brave enough to put your hand up, because somebody somewhere will point you in the right direction and guide you to the area that you really need help with. So that's the kind of important things, and those things will then not stop you from becoming successful and fulfilling your potential. So just reach out, ask out, and more importantly, have clarity for yourself, is what does it mean to you, and what does it mean making that change, and what does it mean overall in creating the result of the potential? Where is the potential? The rest of it will come together. Just reach out, ask, and there's enough of information around us.
I will actually bring a very interesting case scenario that I just came up with. And going from that, I'm sure you will understand what I mean by, uh, what can prevent someone from becoming successful as an entrepreneur. So the case scenario is, we have two individuals, both of which want to climb, they decided to climb uh, up Mount Everest, which, as we know, is the tallest mountain in the world. And the two people are positioned together on the same platform, the same spot, and they have people watching in awe. What they're going to do, how they're going to succeed the Mount Everest. And they tell both, on the side of each of these people, there are those that are telling them, you're not gonna do it, why do you want to do this, you're gonna fall, you might die, god forbid, why, you don't need to do this, don't, it's okay, just go. So one of the two individuals climbs Mount Everest, only about quarter of the mountain. And then the second one ends up succeeding Mount Everest. So the moral of the story, the case scenario is, why did the second one reach the top of the mountain and the first one didn't? So once the second one is interviewed with the sensation in all the newspapers and magazines, the person is asked, how did you manage to climb Mount Everest while your competitor didn't? And that and the person who was interviewed, who succeeded Mount Everest, said, because I went blind and deaf on my envy and jealousy, or on the envy and jealousy around me. So, with that being said, I would like to say that what has a potential of preventing someone from becoming successful as an entrepreneur is the envy and jealousy around the person from those that cannot come close to becoming these entrepreneurs because of their own inner insecurities. And the solution to that is go blind and deaf, look forward and move forward and do what you have to do to become that entrepreneurship on the top of that mountain of jealousy and envy, which will then disappear. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is, what advice would you give to someone who is trying to become an entrepreneur? It's a very good question, ma'am, today.
They're very good questions indeed, and this is so important. And because they are coming with that mindset, they're obviously one step ahead because they are even thinking it. So well done, Levy's James, there for asking this question in the first place. Because the advice that I would give to anybody is some of the advice that was given to me that stood me in good stead. And one sentence was once said to me, and an entrepreneurial journey is something else, okay? And there was it's a great philosopher that some people will have heard is Jim Rohn, and it resonated more so with me. Perhaps others it may be different sentences, but one sentence, one something that could be said that could be a changing point. And this for me was, he said, and I'll paraphrase this. He said, if you work hard on your job, you'll earn a good living. But if you work hard on yourself, you'll earn a fortune. And for me was that if I'm just going to do just about enough to just pay my bills and that, well, an entrepreneurial doesn't think like that. They go beyond of bigger things. That's where the entrepreneur is. They have ideas. They want to create big impact. They want to create also funds to make things happen. Their journey mindset is that part. So the advice would be is get the exact understanding of what it is that you want to do. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? What kind of things do you need to learn in order to be getting the language understood? Because, if you think it, feel it, but I want you also on this point is to actually get in a moment of what it would feel like to somebody to become an entrepreneur, what you understand. Look at some of the entrepreneurs around you. I used to physically sit there, imagine if I became the millionaire Gaz, then how would that feel? I created, in my presentation, I created a training platform for $1 million professionals, lunch and learn. Because again, I had to learn that extra bit. And Dr. Simmer talked about education, how empowering it is to be able to do it. The fact that even the law of attraction, being in the space, mentally putting the words in my head that are going to get me closer to the area that I want to be. And if it's in becoming an entrepreneur, what are the words are you feeding every day? Not just the food in your mouth, but also the words that you're feeding into your brain, because they will be programming you to think like an entrepreneur. You will start feeling like an entrepreneur. You will start earning like an entrepreneur. And that's the kind of thing I did. Was my headspace thought $1 million program I created, $1 million mindset, $1 million books. I was hanging around with $1 million people, and then lo and behold, on my desk appeared a $1.5 million deal. Because that's how an entrepreneur thinks, is the law of attraction, but also the movement. And that would only happen if you are actually programming your brain to receive it, think it, feel it, do it. Then you will actually become really good at that. That's my advice to you.
That is wonderful. Based of it's great how we can answer the questions and then interact. The speakers can interact as well. The saying that we often use here in the United States, misery loves company, is very true. But I would like to twist it around and say success loves company, which basically means that you need to associate yourself, not to say that you have to completely ignore and once again be condescending to people who are less fortunate or successful than you are. You have to do both. You have to associate yourselves with successful people so that you learn how to think like them. You need to, on the other hand, help those that are less fortunate, so that karma doesn't do you bad at the end of the day. You have to also know what you want to do. You need to know the field, know the topic, know the product that you would like to pursue, and then look at the product as an entire uh, country, as basically as an entire world. Uh, Look at it as a greater picture. Don't look at only specific details. Embrace the product, person, place, thing, or idea in all its entirety. And that's how you can go very close towards becoming an entrepreneur. And once again, creativity and education are your best friends in becoming an entrepreneur as well. And once again, above all of these things, the main thing in becoming a very successful entrepreneur is health. Health is wealth. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Today we have lots of questions. Our next question: what can you advise for those aspiring entrepreneurs?
An aspiring entrepreneur really, for a lot of people, the good-hearted people will always want to look at how they've changed their own life to doing good from tragedy to triumph, but then they're also inspired by others how they did, but they now need to be the aspiring ones also to lead the way. So to be great role models for others, because every word we say, every post we share, every comment we have, everything we say, somebody somewhere is going to be aspired or inspired in going forward. So advice would be, one, make sure that I mean, a lot of people will use positivity, some will use negativity, some will paint the dark cloud. I always try and look on a sunny day because the sun always shines. It's just the clouds get in the way. So make sure you're always in a sunny spot and stay in a positive mindset and look for the good even through a tragedy or challenging times. Is what can we do? And an example of that for you is this. In order to, people often say to me, I'm so inspired and you are my aspiration and my go-to person. You see, the biggest tragedy for me in my life when things could have gone downhill was when I lost the love of my life, my husband of 25 years. We just celebrated 25-year, which is silver wedding anniversary. I had two choices, a little bit like Dr. Zimmer talked about the choices on Mount Everest. I had two choices. One was life has treated me bad, and I could stay with a duvet over my head, curtains closed, and become depressed. The second thing was that my dear late husband's wish was to raise awareness for cancer. So I had to throw the duvet back, open the curtains, not to think about me for a minute, but what am I going to do for other people? That became my mission to go out to impact and make a change. And it also helped me through the healing process because I was able to share my story that was a difficult one. And which is why we say to people, even if you're having a tough time, that's your story. It's how you come through it that you can inspire and have other people be, in aspiration for what you've shared for them, and to be the entrepreneur that leads the good role to make the breakthrough and not stay broken down. That's why I always say there is a breakdown, but entrepreneurs will find the breakthrough, and that's where the sunshine to the light in their life will come, and they can take a lot more people on that journey as well.
Yes, exactly. That's totally I 1,000,000% agree to this. I would like to say that the word inspiration actually means not only that you were successful in having done what you did, but that you were able to project the desire, the efficacy, and the results of what you did within yourself towards others. Others now want to do what you did, but not but they do not just want to reach the result. They want to actually repeat step in and step out what you did, the actual process towards reaching these results. So that being said, I would advise for you to be for you to be inspired but realistic. And many would think that I am talking in a negative way, meaning, don't think you're living in a fairy tale, because, there's reality and things are very complicated. No, once again, I am twisting that around into the positive. And what I would like to say is, in being realistic, you're not going to tell yourself, I can't do this. Oh, what if it costs more money to invest in a certain thing? Oh, what if this person will not listen to me? Oh, what if this investor is not going to be truly inspired by what I'm talking about, because the investor's field is finance and my field is performing arts or healthcare, for example, right? No, that's called unrealistic. You're setting borders, you're setting boundaries and borders that you want, that you're then squeezing yourself into, which is totally wrong. Not that you need to think that you're completely unimpactable and things are just totally under you, and you're fine, you're gonna be the ruler. No, but you have to be realistic, and you have to believe in yourself. Believing in yourself is incredibly important. And I must repeat, incredibly important. This is what I mean when I say you have to be realistic. Do not push yourself into borders. Do not push yourself into boundaries that will then force you to be suppressed. Believe in yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question: as an entrepreneur, what had been your most significant failures and what did you learn from them?
Okay. Do you want to go first, Dr. Simmer, on that one?
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
definitely go first. Uh Uh, just so you know, I very unfortunately went through a majority of failures as I was going through all the different stages of my life. Uh, Unfortunately, I have been an abuse survivor, which led me to be completely, totally insecure in school, and then going into dating and then getting married and then going to school, to professional school to become first a nurse, and then after that a cardiothoracic surgical nurse, and then after that going into public policy, community affairs, civic engagement, and then public health and administration, and then where I am today. um, you know, all basically, I went from challenge to challenge in my life, from abuse, surviving abuse, to then being bullied, not just in school but outside of school. I was bullied for many different reasons. I had trouble with my eye vision, and I was wearing glasses. I was bullied just because of that. And I was also bullied because I was called a geek, someone who would receive perfect scores for tests, quizzes, and so on and so forth. The reason I did that is because I studied day in and day out, not because, I am a magician and I'm just ready to print, good test scores just on the spot, right? I was bullied even for that. I was used many different times during my life. What I mean, challenges day in and day out, unfortunately, both from family members and non-family members. Even right now, a lot of envy and jealousy, where people want to reach my results but do not want to do the work towards towards reaching my results, and therefore they then start doing different things, talking to other people, trying to suppress me, trying to get me not to be invited to different events, not to share my opinion somewhere, because if I speak up, they're going to be put down. So they want to make sure I'm put down so that they're the leaders and the rulers of emptiness. But my main solution towards this is always staying positive. I was beaten to the notch. I was beaten physically and I was beaten verbally. I was harassed many times. But every time I went through episodes of all of this, I always repeated a phrase from the movie Gone with the Wind, by Scarlett O'Hara. And what she said was, tomorrow will be another day, which basically means it's self-explanatory. Tomorrow will be another day, and that day will always be better than the previous day. However, you need to want it to be another day as well. So if you wake up the next morning and start reverting back to what happened to you yesterday, you're limiting yourself. So just go by the phrase, tomorrow will be another day. No matter the challenge, no matter the obstacle. Once again, tomorrow will be another day and a whole new life. Thank you.
That's beautiful. I like that saying. It's a saying very similar to Sir Captain Thomas More said, "Tomorrow will be a good day." And when we think like this, it helps us to move forward. For me, a lot of my failures, because we have to go through a lot of them to know the difference from, you got to have a bad day to have a good day to appreciate it, and you got to have failures to look at the successes. And mine was really the language, believe it or not speaking a word of English was my biggest area of difficulty, because I would say the wrong thing at the wrong time with the wrong tone, the wrong everything. And it used to really bring me down because I couldn't. And in direct sales once, I had a boss who was really not very nice. And sometimes we say to people these days, be mindful what you say and ask yourself, is what you're going to say to somebody, is it kind, is it necessary, and is it true? And these things we often say, but this particular incident was that I hadn't done things according to the teaching of the structure of the organization, because I didn't understand it. So instead of putting my hand up and asking, I just bravely carried on and did it wrong. And this manager said to me these words, by the way, I'm going to share with you these words that actually stood me so solid and so strong to this day. And those words were, he said, Gazala, I'm going to say this only once. You're not going to like what I'm going to be saying. It's a little bit harsh, but I'm not here to be kind. But you need to know, because you're working with a whole man, woman world on a big scale, and you can't be soft about things. And his words were, so in future, don't expect, always inspect. All right. He said, don't expect, which is don't assume that
Mm-hmm.
they know, or don't assume this. Always inspect, make sure, especially as an entrepreneur, that you're leading others and the projects, and as a role model to it. Entrepreneurs lead the way. They are the leaders, and therefore they can't just assume their organization knows what they're thinking. They can't assume they know the details. They cannot just assume or expect that they know what the plan is. Therefore, the most biggest learning for me was that I didn't anymore expect. I always inspect, and I double checked and I triple checked to make sure everybody understood. So we're not going to have the failures that I had, that I got ridiculed with, that actually could have demoralized me to the point that I would have never gone to work again. But something in me helped me to do it. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, ma'am, for your outstanding question and answer. Thank you from IGPA and for your valuable time with us.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you, ma'am. We hope we will meet together in another session in IGP platform. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear participants, I would love to thank you all from my deep heart for attending today's session. Today, our program name is The Impact of Social Entrepreneurship in the Community, and the code is IGP 4095. The code is IGP 4095. Without code, no one is eligible for certificate. With code, you can claim your certificate anytime. Without an account on our website, you can visit only, but you can't do anything functionally. So you have to, first of all, you have to create an account, then you gain your certificate. And the code is IGP 4095. Thank you very much for attending today's webinar. Thank you all. Good night.